I have been dreading to make this video, but at the same time, weirdly enough, I haven't been more excited. So we are here to finally rank every single show that I've either reacted to or reviewed over on this channel. And man, we have a lot to go through. I mean, we have about, I think like it goes up to like 46 different shows. But overall, I have just had such a fun time with this entire journey that I've been on with this channel. But look really quick over at the tiers really quick so then you aren't confused on how I am ranking everything. So it was pretty easy for me to actually figure out my little grading system. But right off the bat, obviously when it comes to S tier, it goes from the numerical rating of 10 to 9.5. Then we have 9.4 to 9 for A tier. Then we have 8.9 to 8.5 for B tier, 8.4 to 8.0 for C tier, 7.9 to 7 for D tier, and below 7 is for F tier. Let me tell you straight off the bat, when it comes to the S tiers, I am very picky. It doesn't mean that the shows that I watch below that are horrible, obviously. I mean, look, 9.4 to 9 is A tier. But I mean, I don't mind telling you right off the bat, it's probably going to be like 3 shows, if I remember correctly, that's going to be in that S tier. So go ahead and make your predictions on what you think those are going to be, or just go ahead and predict my top 10 shows and see if you're right. But either way, man, we are just going to jump straight in. Grab a snack, grab a drink, grab some coffee. I did, because this is going to be a long ass video. Holy shit. But anyways, let's get started. So the first show I'm going to do should be really to no surprise to anyone when it comes to the absolute just downfall of how this series actually went. But it's Ninja Kamui. Ninja Kamui is just going to be sitting very snugly at the F tier. It's the only thing that I have in the F tier. Man, I'm not even going to talk about how the animation just downgraded after the first 3 or 4 episodes. Just the actual story element itself. The crazy part is I didn't mind the story. I thought it was a very gripping, compelling story in the very beginning, but the way that they just divert and even introducing the technological aspects a little late, in my opinion, for it to feel in place, because it's not really a world that you expect to be introduced to when you're talking about ninjas. Now you're talking about mechanical, robotic, futuristic ninja. It just felt really strange knowing where we started. You know what I mean? Sure, when they were first tracking down Higan, they were shown to be very prepared when it comes to the actual technology that they used. But when we made that jump from just using everyday modern weaponry to the full-on combat suits, I was just like, whoa, where did we go just now? You know what I mean? But that aside, I finished it. I think, if anything, it needs more story for it to get higher than the F tier. I would be very surprised if it got a season 2. I did read something. I don't know if it was like a reliable source or not, but I did hear that there were talks of there being a season 2. But as far as that went, you know, in terms of production and conversations go, I don't know. But right now, that's going to be where it stays for F tier. Moving forward, we're going to do, let's talk about the D tiers. And now this might be a little bit of a surprise. I don't know. Akame got killed. So when it comes to Akame got killed, the one thing that just drove me insane was the pacing and just how all the characters felt underdeveloped. I didn't really feel like I knew anyone, you know? I can't even say that they weren't given enough episodes to make us care about anyone, just because of the fact that, it was like 24 episodes, but I've seen shows with, I'm going to talk about one soon. Well, not soon, it's going to be up there, but I've seen episodes with 12 episodes that I feel like I know everyone, and it feels so right. But when it comes to Akame got killed, it feels like they were so focused on just the action aspect, so much so to the point where I didn't even feel like I was watching a full product. If anything, it felt like I was watching a supercut of a longer story. But I will say, though, that in terms of the actual action and some of the combat sequences and choreography, It was pretty damn good, especially when that first episode, man, that was a crazy ass twist too. Because when I tell you that was probably one of the most surprised I've been in a while watching something, especially back then, I was just like, what the fuck? That little bitch even tricked me, man. I was like, what? The whole family was in on this shit? They had their own little torture chamber of horrors and stuff. I'm just like, god damn. But either way, when it comes to the actual anime as a whole, it just didn't hit as much as I hoped it would, going further and further into the actual story. But next up, we're going to jump into our first actual live action show that I've reacted to, or at least one of them. It is, where is it? There it is. It is Peacemaker. Let me tell you something though, this show is so fucking funny though. I was very surprised that DC could pull something like this off. When it comes to DC, I don't hate DC, but I will say that it's very rare that I am fully enjoying what I'm seeing on screen. But this TV series, they landed it. When it came to the actual characters and stuff like that, it was so good. I think it's just where it is right now. It's just because of the fact that we don't really have, it's still so early in this show's life cycle. I know season 2 is coming, so most likely it's going to be pumped up the more we actually get of everyone. But I love the group so far. I think it has a lot of potential. But man, oh man, right now anyways, there's not much depth to it. And that's not to say that it has to be deep or philosophical. It just does not have the bearings at the moment for me to rank it higher, knowing that the show is just getting started, if that makes sense. Next on the list, oh my god, I am very sad to do this one, but again, when it comes to this list, it has to be clear, you know? So, Love, Death, and Robots. As a series, I love the idea of anthologies and stuff, but I will say, when in terms of anthologies, the dangers of doing anthologies is this. Since none of your episodes are going to relate to one another, you have one shot at grabbing your audience to stick around for that episode. And that is a hard task to accomplish. There were a lot of episodes that I did enjoy, but man, when it comes to a couple of those, I'm just like, oh my god, okay. But I love the idea that I love the idea of Love, Death, and Robots. I love the fact that they go to different studios, go to different writers and stuff to actually get them to tell their own little short stories, and they get the opportunity to show exactly what they're capable of, both the actual studios involved and the actual storyteller involved. So I love that aspect of it, but in terms of the overall product, not every episode hits. And that's just, that's just the unfortunate reality of, and the unfortunate risk of doing something like anthology series. But anyways, that's going to be all for D tier. Next up in C tier, our first C tier is going to be Scissor 7. Scissor 7 surprised me though. I will say that there were a lot of aspects in the show where I wasn't fully just like invested. I wasn't just like, oh, I wasn't glued to my screen. But I will let you know now, when it comes to Scissor 7, I really enjoyed the comedy aspect. I love the actual character progressions, but I am waiting for, I'm hoping that we get an announcement for either, I saw something about a movie coming out and also a new season. I want to see exactly where his character goes, because still to this day, it is still very up in the air about Seven and his past and exactly where the story is going to lead with him once he fully regains all of his memories. It's just, right now, though there is like 4 seasons, we're still trying to figure out fully who this guy is. And along the way, we are putting together the pieces while doing odd jobs basically, but it's taking a bit of a climb. And at this point in time right now, I haven't been saying my numerical ratings for these shows, but for Scissor 7, I have that as exactly an 8.0. So let's do that really quick. So Ninja Kamui was a 6.8. Akame Got Killed was a 7.7. Peacemaker was a 7.8. And Love, Death, and Robots was a 7.9. Going forward, I'm going to actually say the actual numerical ratings as well, so then you actually see where it landed on both fronts. So next up, we're going to have, oh yeah, I'm very excited because they just announced season 2, which is coming in 2026. But next up is Hell's Paradise. Hell's Paradise, man. I'll say this. When it comes to Hell's Paradise, I am very looking forward to exactly where we go for season 2. Right now, it's a really good setup to the actual island itself. And honestly, I don't know exactly how involved the other characters are going to be because we're dropping like flies. So I'm hoping that we do end up having a core group that sticks with us throughout the remainder of our survival experience trying to get the elixir of life. But yeah, man, it's very when it comes to Hell's Paradise, it's not as if I dislike the show or anything like that. Hell's Paradise I have at an 8.1. It is a solid start to a show. It has the foundation. Now I'm just waiting to see exactly what they do with it. What is built on top of that to see exactly if it's sturdy enough to actually get higher on the list, or if it's just going to sit comfortably at C tier. But the next one is another newer show. It is Kaiju number 8. Kaiju is, again, a good start. The thing is, when it comes to these anime have such short seasons now where like they only give you like a taste of what's to come. And I think that's why most of the new anime are going to be around low C or even up to high Bs unless it's fully completed. There's very few shows that's made it above that, and you'll see those soon. But yeah, again, just like Hell's Paradise, it has its foundation, and we know where we're going from here now that Kafka does officially get recognized by his peers as Kaiju number 8, and now he's going to be actively used, so like as a tool to fight other Kaiju and stuff like that. So I'm very curious to see exactly how we're going to do this that doesn't feel like another Jujutsu Kaisen kind of situation, or even Chainsaw Man situation, where we have this main character who is basically being used as a weapon because it benefits a certain organization, but the moment that he strays away from their either belief system or he's no longer useful, they're planning on killing his ass. And so it's just like, I mean, we have that story twice, within the same, like year. So it's not as if it's not original. Every story has its own thing that makes it unique. But it has a lot of things going against it just because of the fact that we are pretty much being overfed with that type of plot. So either way, right now, that's going to sit comfortably at an 8.2 in C tier. Next up, I love this one. Next up, we have Spy Family. Where is that? There it is. Spy Family. Spy Family is so goddamn fun. I know people don't like all the like silliness and stuff like that, but Spy Family is genuinely a fun time. The only reason why I don't have it higher is just because of the fact that right now, aside from Yours arc, everything it seems pretty tame with little to no risk. And I'm saying that because, remember, right now the overall goal is Operation Strix still. But it feels like we're doing like little side quests and stuff like that, which is fine. But sometimes I feel like they forget that we're trying to get to Desmond. You know what I mean? But again, I think this is going to be like one of the long run type of things where over time it's going to get more and more satisfying the closer that we get to Damien's father. But yeah, again, when it comes to the show overall, it is so fucking fun. That's the only reason why I have that show at an 8.2. It is probably it's like a relaxed show. It doesn't really take much to think about or anything like that. It's just, all right, time to turn on some Spy Family and just have a laugh, and like see exactly what they get up to this episode, Next up, we have Chainsaw Man. Chainsaw Man, oh my god. Why can't I do this? Move. Okay, Chainsaw Man we have at an 8.3. The best part about Chainsaw Man for me is honestly the production. The good thing about me is that I don't read manga, so in terms of how people expect it to look versus how they got it in the actual anime, that doesn't bother me. So that's the best side for me, but the only thing that pushes me away from the actual story is just dingy, man. It's like, obviously, you have a character who's grown up with nothing, who is trying to finally figure out exactly his place in this world, who's being used by everyone. It's so sad, but that doesn't change the fact that Denji as a character is dingy, you know? Like, he is... I respect him for having a goal, but it's the raunchiest thing I've ever seen. And, you know, some people are going to love it, some people are going to hate it, and I'm not there for it. But when they kick it up a notch and get serious, that's when I'm like, wow, this is what I wanted. You know, I'm not even talking about just the action sequences, just the actual story itself. I love the actual idea of devils being as strong as the fear that people have of that thing. And also, in terms of the story, I feel like once we, again, foundation, season 1, it's us meeting everybody. A lot of us died, but it's us meeting everyone, and it feels good, you know? But now it's time to build off of everything that we've learned so far about devils, about fiends, about the gun devil. There's just so much that we need to learn. And with just one season, I don't think I can comfortably say that this deserves to be higher yet. But I do know that that movie trailer, y'all, that I watched, that shit was good. So I'm excited for that. It looks like things are going to be, it's going to be ramping up. But it's still dingy, you know. He's still thinking about girls, and oh my god, I'm thinking about 2 people now, you know. Like, but at the same time, what I have to remind myself constantly is that he's a teenage boy, you know. He's trying to figure out exactly what he wants, and that's fine. But when you have a character that has that level of tunnel vision all the time, despite his duties and what people are expecting of him, it just, you know, it lowers things down for me. But it just waters it down. But overall, I'm excited to see where season 2 goes, and also the movie. But yeah, that's where it's going to be for now, at a solid 8.3 in the C section. Next up, we have got Dandadan. Dandadan, it is... it's a weird one, I'll tell you that. I like the overall characters. I think the characters is what saves Dandadan for me. Because if you tell me that we're on a hunt for this kid's balls and his dick and stuff like that, I would have clocked out. But the characters saved that shit for me so hard, man. And honestly, there are just some moments in that show where I'm just like, this is beautiful. Episode 7 was absolutely breathtaking. It hurt, tears. It was just so goddamn good. I would have loved it if they kept that serious element in Dandadan, but of course, when you are dealing with shonen, sometimes they dive a little bit too much into the quirkiness and just being as far-fetched as possible and just throwing things in out of left field that hopefully pulls a chuckle out of you. So in many cases, I do see Dandadan as a comedy instead of it just being something that can be or should be taken seriously all the time, you know? But yeah, man, I love the characters of this show. I love the setup for season 2. Personally, I feel like they should have just kept going. I don't like where they ended season 1. I feel like that was just a very strange decision to do it this way. It feels like the season shouldn't have even been split there. So, if anything, they could have just called it a core instead of a brand new season. At least then it would feel like a natural part 2 instead of saying that, you know, something has been concluded. But either way, I am ready to see exactly where we go for season 2. I think it has some potential, especially after the season 2 trailer that we saw pretty much right after they finished season 1. It looks like things are gonna step up pretty highly. So we'll see where that goes. Don is an 8.3. Next up, at a score of 8.4, it is Rascal Does Not Dream of Bunny Girl Senpai. Man, oh man, there's a lot more I need to watch. I think there are like 2 movies or something like that I have to watch, but I haven't watched it yet, so we'll see where we go from here. But right now, this show is it surprised me. I will say that much. I did not expect it to be as serious as the actual key visuals give it credit for, you know? But man, I will say in terms of the overall story progression and the characters, I love them so much. It's like just the right blend of the more supernatural aspect of the show, and you get a little bit of romance too. You get a lot of good romance with it. So, and if y'all know me, I love me some romance, especially when it's done right in a very non-cliche format. But yeah, that's gonna be where Rascal stays for now until I catch up with the rest of the movies and anything else that comes out for it. But the next thing on the list, oh my God, a lot of y'all aren't going to this show. I reviewed this show. I didn't react to it, but I reviewed it. Wayne. I don't know why the fuck this did not get a season 2. It pisses me off. I loved this show so much. The only reason why it's not higher is because it's not finished. You know, they left it on such a major cliffhanger that I don't even understand why they thought it was a good idea to just not bring it back. I blame Prime Video for this. Originally, Wayne was over on YouTube TV or whatever the fuck it was called originally. It was called YouTube Originals. And then I guess some acquisition happened or something like that, and now Prime Video owns it. It's some bullshit. I don't know. But Wayne it had such good potential, man. If they just kept the story going, I know it would have been either high B or even high A tier. I don't even know the potential of that show because they didn't finish it. But Wayne is at a 8.4, so that's where it's gonna stay until we get a new season, which at this point I doubt we're gonna get. But next up on the list, this show gets so much hate and I will never understand why. The next on the list is The Legend of Korra. Korra, man, I love this show. It's an 8.4. The only aspect of the show that I did not like was the love triangles. I don't know why they thought it was a good idea to do that bullshit. I just could not stand it. And the thing is with Korra, I love the idea of her being imperfect. I love the way that they tackled trauma. I love the way that they actually tackled the idea of someone who is just thrown into this world of these strong ass motherfuckers. I have never seen. Okay, when you compare Avatar: The Last Airbender to The Legend of Korra, the villains in The Legend of Korra do not play. They are fucking crazy. Tell me why the first villains that she deals with are 2 master bloodbenders and one that could take your bending away from you, bitch. What? As the intro villain to a series that has the power that only the Avatar was known to have. Taking away bending, bitch? That's insane. And the bloodbending, they could do it whenever the fuck they wanted. Whenever they wanted. It didn't have to be a full moon. Nope. It's so crazy to me that people don't put more respect on The Legend of Korra. I don't understand. Like, I get it. I love the Avatar: The Last Airbender. I did. But when it comes to the maturity aspect that comes with The Legend of Korra, those people were trying to kill her all the time. And not only that, they were killing in this show. They blew somebody's head up. One got the air sucked out of the lungs and suffocated to death. One was a murder suicide. Like, there were so many things in this show that they tackled, and it's just not even in the violence aspect, but the actual character growth that comes with, the responsibilities that Korra has, and also the overall character development of Korra, her maturity. She's shown in real time that she's not invincible, even though the people want her to be something that she just isn't right now. There is just so much that she has weighing on her that makes seeing her character progression so satisfying to me. Now, y'all can say, oh, she's annoying. Oh my God, she lost the Avatar state. All this other bullshit. But no, she didn't. It wasn't that simple, and I have no idea why people try to make it sound as simple as, well, she didn't let anyone do anything to her. She literally got it ripped out of her. It's not as if she was being irresponsible or anything like that. She was doing her duty as Avatar, but in a very realistic fashion, sometimes things don't go as planned. Shitty things happen, and you have to figure out how to pick up the pieces. And that's what Korra had to do, and that's what she did. So in terms of how I feel about all that stuff, I get it. It sucks. It's hard. And I love the fact that they're not afraid to show how difficult it is and how scary it is for Korra. Or honestly, maybe any Avatar going after this. Because we didn't get these type of experiences with Aang. Not even a little bit. We had one or two big bads, obviously Azula crazy ass, but also the biggest bad obviously is Ozai. And Ozai was just like, he was a good villain, but that's just one person, while Korra dealt with all these motherfuckers trying to kill her all the time. And it's not as if they were just some tiny little things. These motherfuckers, they were even giving adult Aang a problem. Remember that shit? He almost got pretzeled. He had to snap into the Avatar state to get out of it. So it's just like, yeah, overall, Korra, I don't have a single bad thing to say about the overall story aspect. The only issue is the love triangle to me. That's like the only thing that really did just like, ugh. Oh, and I think his name was Milo. I did not like Milo. He was like a little toddler though, so maybe that's why. But the whole fart bending thing, that threw me out of it. I don't know why they thought that was a good idea either. But Jinora, she was amazing. I love the actual utilization of Jinora. I love the utilization of Tenzin. There were a lot of good people in there that I'm just like, it feels right that they are the ones to support Korra. And the new Team Avatar, by the way, hot take, I fucking love those bitches. I love them all. I love every single one. You can say that they might not be as strong as the original Team Avatar. I don't give no fuck. They were so fun to be around all the time. There wasn't a single moment where I was just like, oh, Team Avatar, But either way, that's going to be it for C tier. Let's go ahead to B tier. Starting at 8.5, we have Black Clover. Now, Black Clover, I guess when it comes to Black Clover, sometimes it feels just a little bit kiddie in the worst ways, I love the aspect and the idea of friendship and all that other stuff, but there's a lot of moments where I'm just like, okay. It reminds you very quickly that it's a shonen, but I will say the overall fights and honestly Asta's character progression is so satisfying to witness that it almost makes up for the fact that when it does come to a lot of these battles, it's the power of friendship that gets them through, that gives them that win. But man, sometimes it's a guilty pleasure though, especially when it came to that one episode where they all came together to save Finral from his brother when he was going to kill him. That was probably the best moment for me when it came to, like that whole friendship cliche kind of thing. It gave me chills. When done right, it feels good, but when done too much, it gets stale. But yeah, again, 8.5 isn't a bad score. It could be better as time progresses. I will say the later half of what's out so far is absolutely amazing. The whole Spade Kingdom, they are crazy. So I'm very excited to see exactly how, those matchups continue and everything like that. I think it's going to have a lot of potential when they come back. And I do think it's going to be moving up once we do return with the anime. But right now, obviously, it's on hiatus. I wonder when it's going to come back out. But so far, that's where it's going to stay at in B tier at an 8.5. Next up is going to be Classroom of the Elite at an 8.5 as well. Classroom of the Elite is one of those shows where I was so surprised that it gripped me so quickly. Those kids are thinkers. Like, when I tell you, like, that's probably it's the most satisfying show for me to watch in the long term. I think if you're just sitting to watch, maybe one episode or two, you probably won't enjoy it as much just because you won't be immediately fulfilled. I think that's where a lot of people get wrong when they are watching shows like Classroom of the Elite. They expect immediate satisfaction every single episode, and it's not one of those shows. It's not. You actually have to think about exactly why the characters are doing what they're doing and what exactly, if anything, is their end goal. But when it comes to Classroom of the Elite, though, there's not an aspect in that show that I could say is just iconic. That's the only reason why it's where it's at. Even though I enjoy it, I enjoy the fuck out of the show. I'm like waiting aggressively and eagerly for the next season. But at the same time, it's not something that I can say that, oh my God, there are just so many moments of this. Like, I can't really name 10 moments that just shine above the rest that makes it just an absolute marvel, But as a show as a whole, it has such good bones. And I love the actual characters themselves and exactly how they progress going forward as a class, But yeah, next up on the list is finally another live action. It's at an 8.5 too. It is Lupin. Holy shit. When I tell y'all, this show is so good. The only reason why it's at where it's at is just because it's not done yet. But every single time, it always surprises me exactly how Asan is able to get out of so many ridiculous situations. Sometimes it's a bit too outlandish, I will say, but it's Lupin. It has to find a way to surprise you, and I think that's why I find the show so satisfying. Because it's very difficult to even predict how he's going to get out of situations or how far ahead that he's thought. But man, I'm very excited to see what the next part of that show is going to go to. But next up on the list at an 8.5 as well, we have this one feels good. We have Kuroko's basketball. Kuroko's basketball was so surprising because I'm not a big sports fan. The only other shows that I've watched that are sports is Haikyuu and Blue Lock. And is there anything else? I think it's just those two shows. But this feels so goddamn good. I wouldn't say it's Haikyuu good, but Kuroko is immediately after it for me. I love the actual team aspect and just how important everybody feels in that show. Yes, there's a lot of Kagami, there's a lot of Kuroko, and there's a lot of the Generation of Miracles, but it feels like overall, when everybody is on the court at the same time, there's a lot of playing off of one another to each other's strengths. And that's why... Oh, and also the actual ability aspects. I love it. I know some people might think it's silly and stuff like that a sports anime does have, like, characters with their own specialties / abilities. But that's Kuroko's charm, I love seeing it. I love seeing how people overcome these absolutely insane plays because it fits. It makes the stakes even higher and scarier, and the characters themselves even more intimidating, because you do not know, like, to what capacity that these players are going to play at. It's such a fun show. If you haven't watched it, I would say give it a chance. I think you would be very surprised to see exactly, how good it can be. But next up is, let me get a sip of coffee. Next up right now for me is, where is it? It's in the B's. Oh, it's because, okay, it's right here. Next up is The Bear. This show is stressful as fuck. I don't know. Like, I don't know how people can binge this show. It stresses me out to the max. But I will say, the characters themselves is good. But I never thought I would say this, though. The character development of the restaurant bitch. I think that's like the most interesting thing to me, seeing how they're able to change something that was just your normal everyday neighborhood spot just to get a sandwich and just to talk and scream and just go crazy at, turns into a fine dining restaurant. And it's just so interesting because yes, I have worked in the food industry, but not to this aspect. This was just over the top. I've only worked front of house jobs, and seeing the chaos that ensues 24/7 in these kitchens. Oh, but there are so many satisfying moments in this show, man, that I can't, like, it gives you a level of satisfaction that just reaches just new heights. In the Rishi episode where he's actually working at, he's basically learning how to basically run a restaurant in the front of the house. And not only that, he is learning what he finds a passion for. And that episode will absolutely, I don't think any episode, I haven't watched season 3 yet, but I don't think any episode is going to even touch how much I love that episode. And it's crazy that I'm saying that because Richie was annoying the shit out of me until that moment. I did not think my favorite episode of that show was going to be a Richie episode, but goddamn it was. But next up on the list, The Bear is 8.6, by the way. I don't know if I said that. Next up on the list at an 8.6 as well is Erased. This is the show I was talking about with the actual character progression and the actual, where it feels like I know the character, versus how I felt about in Akame ga Kill. Erase is just so good. And they do it in 12, 13 episodes. I don't remember which one, but it is just so wow. Like, even from the first episode, it gripped me. And it's just so goddamn good. But man, there's the mystery aspect. I wish that we got the only issue with shows this short is that you wish that they were longer. And this is the sin, right? This is the only reason why I didn't rank it higher. It's just because if they were able to like dive even deeper into the actual mystery aspect and slowing down the overall pacing, this show would blow my mind to no end. I like it's like, from what they had to work with, it was absolutely insane what they were capable of showing and the amount of episodes that they were given. But yeah, I would absolutely recommend this one as well. It's a short watch again, but yeah, that's gonna be where Erase is going to land at. Next up, live action show. Holy shit, I'm not done yet. This is the only reason why it's not as high as I want it to be. The Last Kingdom. This show is so fucking good. It is stressful. It is raw. It is violent. It is heartbreaking. There's just, wow. The Last Kingdom. I love this show so much. I just got done with season 3. And I am so scared to go into season 4. Season 3 broke my heart in so many ways. But there was one death that I was just, it just felt so worth it. Like, I was waiting for this character to die for so long, and because they were just such a weasel, man. But when it finally came, I was so satisfied. But right now, I can't rate it higher in good conscience just because of the fact that it's still too soon for me personally. I know that sometimes shows like this can drop the ball. I blame Game of Thrones for giving me that little piece of doubt in the back of my head that this can be the same way. But right now, it feels good. I love the characters. I love the actual world that we're in. It's gritty. I cannot wait to see where season 4 goes. But so far so good with that show. Next up at an 8. Oh, The Last Kingdom is an 8.6. Next up with an 8.7, we have Horimiya. It's so cute. It's such a cute show. There's another season. I don't really understand it. Somebody said that it's like going back to fill in the gaps of like where like of the content that they had to skip in the original run of the series, which was like 12, 13 episodes. But Horimiya is so good with the information and the story that they were able to adapt right now. I don't know if it's fully done or not, but yes, I am going to watch the season 2. It's not even, when I asked y'all said that y'all made it very clear that it wasn't meant to be seen as a season 2. So I'm going to go into that with an open mind when I do watch it, and instead of thinking it's a sequel, I'm going to think of it as bonus content that was just taken out of the original timeline. But yeah, it's a beautiful show. I love the fact that they both play off of each other very well. And when it comes to romance shows, it's very easy to fall into the trap of cliches and just like the boy meets girl and the stereotypical hijinks between the two. And this feels it felt so fresh. I love how dramatically different they are from one another, because at the end of the day, it shows that opposites can really attract, and they find things that they find interesting in one another that makes them the perfect match for each other. So yes, when it comes to Horimiya, I think it has the potential to get even higher on this list as time passes. But obviously, when it comes to where they are right now, it's still so early in both their actual relationship and also just within the school year too, because they made a big point for them to actually start thinking about the future. And Hori does not waste any time actually wondering what's after this for us. And it makes sense. It's very realistic because they're in high school. There are so many things that you have to think about, and this is just one of those things. But so far, so good. I cannot wait to see how they tackle the relationship going forward with the show whenever it does come back. But yeah, next up on the list is, oh man, as much as I love this show, it is at another 8.7. It is Jujutsu Kaisen. Jujutsu Kaisen, man. Season 2 bumped that shit up for me, man. I love season 1, don't get me wrong, but season 2 just said, you know what? Let me just show y'all how fucking crazy it can get, how bad things can get, and things get catastrophic. And this really did raise the bar for what I thought Jujutsu Kaisen was capable of, because season 1, it had its moments. I enjoyed it. It was average though. I didn't think it was like anything like super crazy, super special or anything like that. It was good. But season 2 said, pay attention to me. The villains in this show are some of the most craziest villains I have ever seen in anime before. And honestly, when it comes to Mahito, I love him as a villain. His line delivery, the VA for Mahito is out of this world. But you know what? What I respect the most about Jujutsu Kaisen is how realistic it is when it shows that things do not go as planned. If you are not prepared, or if you are not as strong as you think you are, you will lose. If you are outwitted, you will lose. If you make a wrong step, you will lose. If they thought further ahead than you did, you will lose, or you will get outsmarted. It's just like you see the level of risks involved in these things that these characters have to endure, and you're just like, damn, they can't get a break. And I think that's what really woke me up when watching Jujutsu Kaisen in general. Season 1, it had its moments. Season 2 had nothing but moments. You know, it's like from beginning to end, it felt like there was just a nonstop flurry of chaos. And that's what this was all about. It was the Shibuya incident. And not only that, the prequel to it, the hidden inventory, presumed death arc or whatever, that was good too. God damn, I never thought we would learn more about a side character than we know about our main character. I mean, like, just honestly, Geto and Gojo's overall history is just so interesting to me. And I love the fact that it shows how the two flipped, basically, in their ideologies. And I love the actual character progressions and the actual reveal that the person that's walking around in Geto's body isn't Geto. It's just so crazy, you know? And it's so heartbreaking just seeing that realization, even on Gojo's face, where he's just like, he had that moment where in his mind, he went through everything, all the good times that he had with Geto, and that actually played a part in his capture, in his sealing, and it's just so wow. But there is this one scene that I want to show from Jujutsu Kaisen that just made me stand up and applaud. 1 second. It's this line right here. He says, "I bet you just thought this would be some pest extermination, or like defeating evil spirits in a legend, or something like that when you came here, right? You're naive. This is war. It's not some fight to correct a mistake. It's a clash of what we believe is right. Our own flimsy ideas of justice." Like the way that Mahito actively shows the audience and also gives Yuji a reality check that this world is bigger than what just you believe. And in this battle of ideals and morals, the person who is right is the one who wins. So if you believe that you are as just as you say you are, and you are on the right side of justice, then you should be able to beat me. And I love the fact that Mahito's character absolutely just carried this arc for me. He was such a good villain because he gave nothing but wake up calls, just time and time again, taking down Nanami, taking down Nobara, taking down Yuji. So much so that Yuji was ready to give up before Todo came in. And if it weren't for Todo snapping him out of it, I don't know, we wouldn't have a story. But yeah, absolutely. Jujutsu Kaisen, it deserves all the love and respect that it got for season 2 easily. If season 1 was just a little bit more fleshed out and just overall solid, it would probably easily be an A-tier show. And the fact that I'm saying that when there's only 2 seasons out right now is ridiculous. But next up on the list is yeah, a lot of people didn't watch this show, but it is Summertime Rendering. This show, it's something about time travel that I love. But Summertime Rendering was so fucking good. Everything about Summertime Rendering just itched my brain in the perfect way. I love how dark it was. I love how they handled Shinpei's character and the actual use of his abilities. It's just so well thought out, and goddamn, the fact that it was just a one and done show is crazy to me. But man, it impressed. I love everything about that show. It's just the only thing that I would have hoped for, if anything at all, is to just slow down the pacing just a little bit, so then those emotional points hit a little bit harder. But again, in terms of what they had to work with, they did a phenomenal job. So yeah, easily it can sit snug right where it is. In terms of score, I gave that an 8.7, just like I did with Jujutsu Kaisen and Horimiya. But the next on the list, sitting at an 8.8, is Parasyte. This show, man, oh man, I will tell you, I did not expect something about aliens would be this ridiculously good. And I did not expect it to even be like a pretty philosophical show too. I mean, like, there are a lot of different like moral dilemmas that are on display here, and especially when you have Shinichi constantly being questioned by Migi to show that humanity is in many aspects and in many ways just as monsters as they see other species as they see his species as. He can say the same thing about humanity. You know, like, there are just so many things in this show that makes you, it really does make you wonder. And the fact that, you know, the parasites even question their own existence and why they are in this world and why they want the things that they want and what they want to get out of life, it really does, it broadened my scope of what I thought I was going to feel like when watching this show. Because I thought it was just going to be like a little fun side anime that, you know, didn't really have many gripping moments. But God, like, immediately, I think within the first 3 to 5 episodes, I was hooked. Like, there were so many moments that, and so many arguments that Migi gave that had me like, damn, maybe he's right. You know? So, yeah, man, that was, it was a surprise show for sure. It woke me up. But, next up on the list is, Demon Slayer. Demon Slayer, this will absolutely, it's so high because it's my feel-good show, but at the same time, it's B tier because it's my feel-good show. You know, like, there are a lot of different aspects in Demon Slayer that just don't grip me in the way that other shows do. Obviously, in terms of production and the overall love and care that basically the entire staff of Demon Slayer that they put into this show, it's just unmatched. But God, I love where we are right now. Even with the last arc, I get that people don't like the downtime arcs like this, but I do think seeing things like that are important if you want to humanize your characters instead of just seeing them as little murder machines, or just see them as two-dimensional characters that have nothing more to them than just fighting demons. You know, I love the fact that we slow things down for once. Before it was it's a calm before the storm thing, and very clearly, if you watch the last 2 episodes of the Hashira training arc, you would see that. But yeah, like, overall, there's not really an aspect of Demon Slayer that fully grips me in a way that compels me to put it higher on the list yet. The story isn't over yet, and I know once the trilogy movie comes out for the Infinity Castle arc, it's gonna scramble up the rankings a little bit. Honestly, it might go A tier. The way that the most recent season ended, I just know it's about to be insanity, man. And knowing Ufotable, they're going to go all out for the Infinity Castle. We've already seen what they've been up to with the Infinity Castle all the way back during the season 1 finale, bitch. So I just know we're gonna be in for a good time. So we'll see exactly where we go from there. Next up is going to be something very interesting. I did not plan on doing this originally, but if you actually look at the remaining shows, you'll see something very strange here. You'll see 2 versions of One Piece. One is going to be pre-time skip, and the second is going to be post-time skip. The reason why I did this is because, well, one, I'm not even close to finishing post-time skip, so I can't confidently say it's just amazing. And honestly, when I pitted it against pre-time skip, it didn't compare. Not yet anyways. I'll get deeper into that in a second, but right now, One Piece is going right here in B tier at an 8.8. I'll let y'all know right now, I'm not really enjoying One Piece as much as I did pre-time skip. Right now I'm on the Dressrosa arc, and god damn, it feels so strange. I think I expected us to see more of everyone's development instead of this idea that, okay, time passed, they're stronger now, and that's it. We didn't really see the progression that, or the training that they spent during those 2 years that made us be like, yeah, I see why they're stronger now. You know, even during the fights with Doflamingo right now, it's, well, actually the fight with Doflamingo just ended where I'm at, but even the fights with those, it didn't feel satisfying just because of the fact that we didn't really see much of what Luffy went through aside from those very brief explanations on while Rayleigh is sitting down. We didn't really get much we didn't see the work that he had to put in to get stronger. And I'm wondering, like, if it's just going to be a thing where we're going to get it sprinkled in for the next 1,000 episodes or something, where we're actually going to see exactly how much time he and Rayleigh spent together, you know, coming up with these different moves and tactics and stuff. But the thing with One Piece post time skip that really does bother me, it is very easy to forget that the other Straw Hats are there. I think there are many times where I literally forget that Nami exists. I forget that Chopper exists. Hell, I can't believe it, but I forget that Sanji exists. I mean, there are so many times where they split up more than ever. And it's not a bad thing if we spent time with those characters seeing how they got stronger. But hell, Dressrosa, it's just like, it's the same thing where it's just, you expect Luffy and Zoro to do the heavy lifting. And that's it. It doesn't feel like the other Straw Hats are even not just comparable, but also necessary, aside from the 1 or 2 moments that they get to shine and show that they are still skillful. Like, for example, Usopp was used basically as a weird gag in the Dressrosa arc, where he beats Sugar, the girl that just all she has to do is touch you in order to turn you into a toy, and also into an obedient servant that also causes everyone who knew you to forget that you existed. The way that he beat her is that he scared her. He ate something hot and he screamed really loud and it scared her. That's I mean, it's just, it was such a weird feeling. He did get a moment to shine too, where when Sugar woke up for the second time and he did a really long range shot through one of the ramparts, and what he shot had his face on it and it scared her again, and she passed out again, and that's how he won. Woo! It's just like, okay. I mean, like, it felt so just like, classic Usopp. That's how he's going to get his victories. And it's not satisfying. Maybe it's funny for people, but like, for a show this long, I expect everybody to have reasonable growth. You see Luffy's growth, you see Zoro's growth, and the thing is, I get that the show is long. I get that there's over 1,100, 1,200 episodes right now, but the fact that I'm nearly 300 episodes in post time skip, and we still haven't seen anything remote that even remotely shows that there has been any notable growth from Nami, from Sanji. Actually, we did get a little, we did get a decent showcase when he had to face Doflamingo to protect Chopper and Nami and Brooke. But either way, we don't really have much to show for them. But yeah, we haven't really seen much from Chopper except him telling us that he now can control the monster Chopper or whatever. Usopp, it's just like, I don't know, man. I'm hoping that there's a moment soon where they're able to show that I deserve to be a Straw Hat too. Sanji, I'm not just a cook. I'm not just the kicker or whatever the fuck. I have leveled up as well. Nami, there's more to me now, and there's more to my attack patterns than there was pre-time skip, and I'm not just your navigator. It's going to be more dangerous. We're in the new world now. I'm expecting everyone to pull their weight to some capacity that shows that they have grown, instead of everybody screaming and crying for Zoro to save them, aka Usopp, or Luffy to do something. It gets very demoralizing when you are stuck in the same pattern that you were in for well over 500 episodes, and you're seeing that these people that you want to see thrive and grow not do that, or not be given the chance, because we need to focus more on Luffy and more Luffy and more Luffy and more Luffy. And while focusing on Luffy, you're not going to get explanations on where he got this new move from. He just calls it out, and you're just led to believe, oh yay, new move, woo! It's like Luffy just gets patch notes or updates, like there's a new software coming out. It doesn't really feel like something that honestly feels earned. And I hate that I'm saying it that way, but that's just how I feel when it comes to Luffy. It's just like every single time he shows something new, it's just something that was necessary in order for him to be able to face off against the likes of Doflamingo and any future villains that we face later down the line. But the world building, bitch, is still good. That's the only thing that has me going post time skip. It's just the goddamn world building. I love the idea of going to these different islands and seeing all these different places and people, and it feels so fresh in that aspect. But when it comes to the Straw Hats in general, it feels like the time skip wasn't even necessary. It feels like everybody is the same aside from Luffy and Zoro. Everybody, I don't know. Like, if they never changed their designs, I wouldn't have even noticed that, anyone got stronger. But, yeah, time skip One Piece, that's where it's going to be. I have it rated at a 8.8. The next thing on the list in B tier still is House of the Dragon. I know people don't like this show. I know that if you try to compare it to something like Game of Thrones, it might not hit as, hard. But when I tell y'all, this show is a guilty pleasure for me. I get that season 2, the pacing was a little slow, and that's why it is where it is right now. If it was faster, or even if we got more episodes, I can't stand this current day and age with these 8-episode fucking seasons. It drives me insane. Whoever at HBO thought that was a good idea, because now a lot of shows are doing it now, they need to be fired. I cannot stand the fact that they keep lowering the episode counts for these seasons. Like, it's hindering your show, and it's hindering the pacing, it's hindering the storytelling potential, and it just drives me crazy. I thought season 1 was going to be as bad as it was going to get, and season 1 had 10 episodes. So it's just like, when you're continuously giving less and less, it forces the writers to write with the idea that they have to get as much in as possible. But the problem with House of the Dragon in this aspect is, not having those 2 episodes that you had for season 1 that gave you 10 episodes total instead of 8, that could have made your show even better. But the saving grace is the fact that we know exactly what season 2 was leading up to. And now we're just going to see exactly how this Battle of Dragons is going to go. But anyways, after that, at an 8.9 is, oh my god, another stretchful ass show, Succession. Succession, man, this... When I tell y'all this show had me sweating bullets, there were so many moments in this show where I was just like going out of my mind, whether it's just Logan is such an infuriating character. Honestly, it's everybody. Everybody in this show is out of their mind. They're all just so toxic, and the power struggles throughout the whole show is just so exhausting and so stressful in the best way possible, where I'm just like, I can't watch another episode. Like, this is another show where I can't binge it. Like, if I wanted to sit down and watch this show, I wouldn't be able to watch more than 2 episodes at a time. It's not possible. There's just so much that makes you want to just like take a breath. You know, it's just so heavy in so many ways that you cannot just like, well, me personally, I can't just like sit down and just like take it all in at once. Absolutely not. But the acting, the soundtrack, the actual character arcs is just amazing. Oh my God. Even the characters that I just can't stand, I love to see exactly how they evolve over time. But yeah, that's gonna be it for my B tier. Holy shit. This is a long ass video, but we are finally in the A's. And the first one that I have at a 9.0 is Gravity Falls. Man, I did not think Gravity Falls was going to even touch me and pull me in the way that it did. But it did. Gravity Falls was just such a satisfying show. Even though it is for children, Gravity Falls has so many elements that adults would even like. And the fact that the jokes are clever, the actual writing is amazing. Y'all, the writing in this show is so good. I'm 29. Even if you're my age, I would absolutely just recommend just watching this show just to see exactly where the story goes. It might not be your thing, but it'll at least get a little chuckle out of you, if anything. But they even add puzzles to this thing, like literal puzzles at the end of the episode where you're actually deciphering different phrases and stuff. It's just so involved. You know, like it gives you so much content in the episode and out of the episode. It's just such a treat. And the further you get into the show, the more it actually pays off. So yeah, absolutely, Gravity Falls. It deserves A tier easily. Easy 9. But next up is Shogun. Shogun, man, this one, oh my gosh. I am very surprised that something like this only was able to accomplish so much in one season, and it felt whole, you know? Yes, I do know that a season 2 is coming out. I still have my personal feelings about, my reserves about them deciding to continue the series, even though they finished everything that's in the novel. I don't like the idea of them going beyond the intended work of the author, especially knowing that the author has more stories and more novels that they could have adapted, and they just chose to stick in the world of Shogun and choose to grow on the work made by someone else. If the author decides to actually be heavily involved with season 2 and create more story of his own volition and, give him full creative freedom to make the story however he wanted, then fine. But if it's the aspect of doing the Game of Thrones way, where they're just going off of just their pure creativity, I don't think they should do it. I feel like that's a very bad faith kind of thing. And I don't like the idea of doing something just for cash grabs. It rubs me the wrong way when dealing with someone's work. It's a lot of work writing a book, writing a novel, but either way, we will see how that goes. But right now, season 1 of Shogun, it was immaculate. But anyways, next up, we're going to have Oshinoko. Oshinoko, this shit was so fucking good. I have it ranked at a 9.1. I love the in-depth deep dives of the entertainment industry. I love how they just pull back the curtains on so many different aspects of stage plays, of production, of acting, of the world of being an idol. It's just everything feels so satisfying to see exactly all the moving parts to make something great, And the storytelling aspect itself is just good too. Ignoring the actual technicalities of the entertainment industry, the story, the revenge story basically of it going from Aqua and evolving to Aqua slowly finding peace into what he believed to be the conclusion of trying to find his father. And Ruby, of all people, going into her own revenge arc, it's just so good. It's so goddamn good. And I cannot wait to see exactly what Ruby's turn is going to be like. There are so many things in this show that I can gush over. But man, it deserves 9.1. I hope that it stays at this level of storytelling throughout the remainder of the series. But so far, it is checking off all of my check boxes easily. But next up is a show that I have only done reviews and recaps for. It is at a 9.1. It is Letterkenny. Letterkenny is nothing but a good time. If you want just one of the best belly laughs that you're ever going to have, watch this show. It is so good. It is 11 seasons long, and every single moment of this show, I can't help but smile. Man, I think this is one of those shows that, like, it's a niche. I will admit that. You will know very quickly if it's for you or not. But it's it for me, especially me coming. I'm a Southern guy, but maybe that's why I like it as much as as probably you might. But yeah, since this is a personal list and this is full on bias, absolutely, Letterkenny is easily a 9.1. But you don't want to know what's even better than Letterkenny for me personally? It's Shoresy. Shoresy, man, it is Letterkenny, but with a storyline. You know, with a clear storyline and a clear objective. And I love the actual progression and growth of a character that I never thought we would actually have as a main character, and that's Shoresy. Shoresy is such a compelling character, and to see how mature he is as the story goes further and further in, it's just so satisfying. I love Shoresy, not only as a show, but just as a character in general. And even his friends and all the shit that they get into. Even this is just a hockey anime, y'all. Anime. This is just a hockey show, y'all. And the fact that something just so compelling comes out of something as unserious as Letterkenny it's insane. It's so good. And the crazy part is, yes, Letterkenny had a lot. It has serious moments in it, but Shoresy kicks up a notch. It kicks it up times 10, it feels like, you know? Like, there are even moments where I'm just like, my heart's just racing, you know? But overall, I think it feels right to put these right by each other in terms of just quality, you know? Quality, storytelling, writing, in both the comedic aspect and the drama aspect. It's just so good. But yeah, that's where that's gonna be. Next up on the list at 9.1 again. I have a lot of 9.1s, it feels like. The next one is going to be Arcane. Arcane, man. I am so glad. For me, it stuck the landing. I know people have their own opinions on how season 2 wrapped up, but I'm satisfied. Everything about Arcane, from the actual art direction, the overall production of Arcane, is easily one of my favorite things that have come out in recent years. It is so good. Give me 1 second. But there are just so many moments in Arcane that I still can't get over. But I think the best part about Arcane for me is just to see the evolution of all the characters and to see where everyone ended up. And I'm going to just say it. Jinx ain't dead. I was going to do a video on this a while back, but I noticed that a lot of people already made it. So I was like, okay, I guess I won't oversaturate it. But yeah, all the proof that I've seen and all the proof that I've even discussed with people, either on Discord. By the way, join my Discord. I need to start advertising that more. But everybody that I've talked to about this too, it makes sense that Jinx is still alive. I'm not going to go too deeply into it because I want, I think for the people that haven't watched Arcane yet, I think everybody already has, but I'm not going to go too deeply into the ending. But overall, it's a gorgeous show. I love the voice acting in it. I love the maturity aspect of this show. I love how dark it can get. I love how serious it can get. And I love what makes Powder / Jinx, Vi, Caitlyn, Mel, and literally everybody that's in the end game that is season 2. I love seeing exactly how they got to that moment, especially when it comes to Echo and Jace. Those two were just, it was cool to see their roles in all of this, and obviously Victor as well. But yeah, going forward from there, we have another live action show at a 9.1. It is none other than Peaky fucking Blinders. This is the first show that I reacted to. Pretty sure. Hold on. Yeah, it's the first live action show that I reacted to, and it was so good, man. There was not a single moment in this show that I just disliked. It was, I think, every single moment from episode 1 of season 1 all the way to the very end. It was just so immersive, and all the characters just felt right. The only thing that I'm waiting for is this motherfucking movie. Like that. And I this was recent. I saw Netflix posted that they wrapped up on filming, I think. So hopefully in the next year or two, we're going to get this movie, and I am ready for it. But goddamn, I think in terms of just like overall how compelling this show is, and the evolution of Tommy is just so good. And I don't really watch most of this genre anyways when it comes to like the whole crime / mob kind of thing. But man, this woke my ass up. I did not think I was gonna like it as much as I did when it was first requested, because like this was right when I decided I wanted to kind of step away from just doing reviews and recap videos, and I wanted to actually experience, like, start my whole reaction journey. And I don't think I could have asked to start a better show than Peaky Blinders as my first live action show. It's just so goddamn good. But anyways, next up at a 9.2 is pre-time skip One Piece. God damn, this is everything and more to me. I love every aspect of the pre-time skip One Piece. The character progressions felt it felt a lot more organic than it currently does in post-time skip for me at the moment. I'm sure over time I'm going to my current feelings about post-time skip is going to change, because again, I'm technically only almost 300 episodes in when it comes to post-time skip, and there's a shit ton more. So I think that's going to change. But post-time skip One Piece pre-time skip One Piece trumps post-time skip. I love the character designs. Honestly, the way that they did my girl Robin, the way that they did my girl Nami, I don't like it. I'm sorry. Usopp looks good as fuck. Zoro looks good. Luffy looks okay. I feel like Luffy is the only one that kind of looks... He didn't really change much to me, except the big ass X on his fucking chest. But God, it just feels like everything about pre-time skip was just more enjoyable. I love there's very few arcs that were weak to me in pre-time skip. Like, barely any. And the fact that like you're able to basically see even early on how much of an impact Luffy and basically all the Straw Hats have to any place that they go to where like I'm genuinely excited to meet so many people again and to see them again. And I will say this, when I finally saw Kobe again, I was like, oh my God. Like that's the satisfying aspect in the show that I look forward to in One Piece. And I think it's just going to get better and better over time when you do revisit places or just reconnect with people that you probably forgot about, But yeah, pre-time skip easily when it comes to post-time skip is my favorite. I miss it so much, and I wish we could go back. You know, I think maybe I just haven't hit that arc yet that makes people be like, oh my god, this is it. And maybe it's just that simple. But you know, this is a long game type of show, so I'm gonna stick it out and see if my mind changes when I do finally get caught up. But yeah, man, that's it is what it is. But next up on the list at a 9.2 is Frieren. This show, I know it's only one season, and I cannot believe that something with one season creeped up on me like this. But Frieren is just one of those shows that's so well written. It's just so beautiful. The production itself is just breathtaking to me. There's no aspect of Frieren yet that I'm just like, could be better. You know, like I feel like it just went firing out on all cylinders from episode 1. And I think it's so interesting that the whole premise stemmed from the fact that we're following this legendary party after defeating the Demon King. You know, I think that's such a bold choice just because for most anime, that's like the climax. That's something that we work ourselves up to. This is our way. This is us working our way down and trying to follow a girl who basically seems to live a lifetime, you know, like who's basically immortal when compared to humans anyways. You know, you have this girl finally trying to understand humans, you know, like the importance of life and savoring the moments that you have and cherishing the time that you spend with people because they're not going to be around forever, you know? So absolutely, it was easily one of my favorite fucking anime that I've watched this year. So next up, live action, Breaking Bad at a 9.2. Breaking Bad, there's it's an overall solid show. I think in terms of following Walt, they do such an amazing job to see exactly to show his evolution into what he becomes at the very end. But there were just some aspects of the show that I do wish that they zeroed in on more, which is why we're going to talk about the prequel series in a second. But they don't really zero in on the side characters. And I think, yes, I understand that the overall story is about Walt himself and to see exactly what he is willing to do to get what he wants and also provide for his family the way that he wants, you know? So, yeah, man, I loved, when it comes to the show, there's no aspect of like story or plot where I thought that it was just like a glaring flaw. But with that, I do want to go ahead and add Better Call Saul on here. I ranked that at a 9.3. Better Call Saul gave me exactly what I wanted when it came to following the side characters or the supporting characters of Breaking Bad. It was everything. You understand so much more about the world that existed before they even knew Walt existed, you know, before even Walt knew that he had cancer. And I love the fact that we do this all through Jimmy's eyes, you know, Big Saul himself, you know, Saul Goodman. But like the fact that we use this opportunity to actually give so many characters depth that didn't get that moment to shine and that didn't give us that opportunity to fully understand the full broader scope of their character and show we even got Crazy 8's story. Yeah, the fucking person that Walt killed in season 1, bitch. We got that. We got to see exactly how he started out in the business and saw how timid he was and how he changed over time when being wrapped in with the Salamancas. It was just so it's so good. It is so satisfying. And I get, like, I love Breaking Bad. I absolutely do. But this was just so necessary for me to actually appreciate so many characters that we just simply don't focus on as much in Breaking Bad. Because in Breaking Bad, it felt like everybody that Walt had to deal with was just so two-dimensional until you watch Better Call Saul. Honestly, I feel like if you watch Better Call Saul then Breaking Bad, it would give you a whole different feeling of the characters in Breaking Bad, because now you see how far they came. You see what they had to do to get to where they are in Breaking Bad. And I think that's why I love it so much, because it gives you that necessary character development for these characters for you to appreciate them even more than you probably already did when you watched Breaking Bad. But yeah, that's going to be where I place Better Call Saul. Next up, Steins Gate. Steins Gate is a 9.3. Where is it at? Man, now this is one of those where I finally understand why it's ranked so highly. And again, time travel shows, I guess that's my thing. I've watched so many now, it feels like. But like, Steins Gate, it was just so satisfying, and just to see exactly how one change can impact so many things, and how one change can just like alter the course of so many people's lives, all the way up to like world-changing events. I'm talking World War III. It's mind-blowing. And it never felt like it was trying to be edgy or just like over-deliver on things that some people might not see as necessary. Everything felt in place. And I think that's one of the best, like when it comes to one and dones, I get it. I absolutely understand why so many people recommended this show. It's a lot, it's especially, early on. I think the only thing that people can complain about, and I get it, now that I take a step back and look at it from the aspect of the show at a broader lens, I can agree that probably like the first, I hate saying it like this, but like the first episode all the way through like episode maybe like 8 or 9, it can feel like it's still coming into its own. You might be scratching your head asking like, where the fuck are we going to go with this? Jail bananas and all that, but like, trust the process. That's the only thing that I can tell you if you have not watched Steins Gate yet. Just trust the process. In the long run, you're going to understand where they're going with it. That's all I can say. But next at my list that will conclude the A tier is Link Click. This show, it's one of those shows again where it's still fresh. It only has 2 seasons, but already it's making a name for itself. Another time travel show, but Link Click is just one of those shows that it pulls your heartstrings. You will cry, you will laugh, you will get stressed, you will just like want to pause and just take a break because there's just so much going on. There's tragedy going on. It gives you the opportunity to see how so many people live. A lot of people have a lot of tragic backstories. I'm talking you face suicide, you face domestic violence, you face the impact of natural disasters on a wide scale. It's just like, there are so many aspects to the show. Time traveling aside, it's just such a good watch. I would absolutely recommend this show to everyone. But the thing is, you have to pay attention. And also, the thing that a lot of people, I feel like the only reason why it's not as popular as a lot of shows are is just the fact that Link Click is it's in Mandarin. It's a donghua, and when you are dealing with quote unquote Chinese anime, a lot of people don't really gear towards that versus anime or Japanese anime or just anime. But yeah, I love this show. I think when you are watching something this complex and they're able to execute it in a way that doesn't seem too broad, I guess, it gives you a newfound appreciation of storytelling, and and the fact that this is an original work, by the way, I checked because I was so curious to see if like the manga or the manga equivalent, I don't know, is it called manhwa? I don't know what the, the Chinese equivalent of a manga is, but like the source material doesn't exist. It's a fresh original show, and the fact that it's this good is mind-blowing to me. But yeah, absolutely, link click. It deserves all the praise that it gets. I cannot wait to see what season 3 brings. And honestly, the only reason why it's not an S tier is just because the story is still going. That's it. But after that, we are finally in S tier. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm not done yet. This is what I get for rambling and rambling. I skip out on some. You see this? Okay, so JoJo's I have at a 8.8. So JoJo's would probably go around, well, it's in B tier. So JoJo's is 8.8, so it would go right after One Piece. JoJo's is, I was actually debating whether or not I wanted to put JoJo's in in parts, so then I can rank them individually. But then I averaged it around, and it was basically in the same ranking anyway at 8.8. So I was fine with leaving it right here. But yeah, man, JoJo's is just one of those shows that it's very just like out there, so you have to have an open mind when you're watching JoJo's, but it is so satisfying. But the problem is when you're watching JoJo's, if you're not super invested in a certain part, it can throw you out of it just because of the fact that you're most likely going to follow new characters. Well, you do follow new characters basically every single part. Yes, some come back around and go into more supportive roles to help support the new JoJo, but but yeah, like overall, I can't say that I don't like the show or something like that. It is just so good. But next, Apothecary Diaries. I rank that at where is that? I rank that as an 8.7 right before summertime rendering. So that's gonna be right here. No, wait. It's right after. There we go. Apothecary Diaries is just one of those shows where it's just like, yes, it only has one season, but I love the fact. Honestly, it's just because I love how Momo's character faces a lot of different mysteries, and the mystery aspect in Apothecary Diaries is just so unique because it doesn't rely on action to propel itself forward. And goddamn, I'm just so curious to see where we go from here in terms of the actual next season. But personally, I would have personally liked to put this in A tier, but I think it's just too early for me to just throw it up there so quickly. Frieren was just a very, very rare case where it was able to do that in one season. But Apothecary Diaries, it wasn't there just yet for me to give that exception, so it's going to have to stay there for now. Solo Leveling, this one might surprise you a little bit. I don't know, maybe not. But right now, in terms of Solo Leveling, I'll put that right after The Legend of Korra. So that would put Solo Leveling into, I feel like it's a comfortable position. I don't really think Solo Leveling is just like this amazing thing, but I do think it's an 8.4. There were aspects of the show where it's just like when it comes to the supporting cast, it feels like no one feels permanent. I guess that's the best way to put it in terms of the only focus being Jinwoo. It's totally fine that Jinwoo is the main character. I mean, it's called Solo Leveling for a reason. You know what I mean? So it's not as if like Jinwoo being the person that he is, ruins the show. That's just how the show is made. Well, that's how the manga is made, whatever it is. I think it's a manhwa. But the thing that really does kind of hurt Solo Leveling for me personally is that like no one or nothing feels as important. And I think that's just because of just the aspect of having an OP main character, But now it's the true test of how we're going to use Jinwoo's strength You know, I love the fact that Jinwoo isn't losing himself in his overall goal of doing this to provide for his family and to finally cure his mother from the eternal slumber sickness that she has right now. But yeah, I do think after watching that trailer for Solo Leveling, I absolutely think that it's going to be one of those shows where it's definitely going to grow on me and it's going to get higher and higher. Just that trailer, I wouldn't be surprised if it jumped to high B tier. We're going to see exactly what they're going to do with the story and see if it does warrant the boost up. But right now, just talking about season 1, Solo Leveling is a comfortable 8.4 in the C tier. So now, Beef. Beef is a Netflix show that only had one season. It is just pure insanity. I would personally rank Beef as an 8.1, so that would be right before Hell's Paradise. Oops, not right there. But Beef is just so good. It's so out of left field. It follows these two characters where they're just trying to get back at one another out of something that stemmed from something as petty as a road rage incident. Basically, the way that the show starts, and this is the only thing that I'll spoil because it happens within the first couple minutes of the show, but the way that the show starts is basically our main character, one of our main characters, is backing out of a parking spot, and while he's backing out, the other main character is driving, and she gets pissed off because the male main character doesn't see her, and she just lays in on her horn for a good, I'm talking good 20 seconds. It felt that way. But it was just, it's a crazy ass show. If you want to find something there are serious moments in the show, but the whole premise is so unserious. It's ridiculous, but it's so mundane and realistic at the same time. The way that they talk to one another, the way that the actual conversations with other people go, it's so realistic, and that's why I love it so much. It's grounded in the best ways possible, but I do hope that we do get a new season just because of how things ended. There is a lot of potential with it, but right now, anyways, it has to be where it is. And now we're at the final 3. Holy shit. These are all my S tier shows, obviously. The first one that I'm going to have on the list as my S tier is going to be Chernobyl. Chernobyl, I'm a history buff, y'all. Just so you know, when I don't do my reactions, because I watch more live action television and documentaries and stuff like that, more than anything else. So when I was requested Chernobyl, I was super excited to see exactly how they were going to execute something that was so world changing. It's not as if this was just a tiny little event. This affected an entire city and almost stemmed out. This could have been even as crazy as things were, it could have been worse. And I think that is just terrifying. But they handled things so respectfully in this show, and I love the fact that I think personally it's just because this is something that I personally researched back when I was in school. So I love the fact that they were directly referencing things that truly did happen. Because there were actual audio tapes that were found of Legasovs and stuff like that helped actually get the truth out of the events of Chernobyl. So then the Soviet Union couldn't downplay the severity of the situation, But man, it has a special place in my heart, and I don't think it's going anywhere anytime soon. But Chernobyl, man, it checked all of my boxes when it comes to a historical adaptation. They showed how ignorance can cost you lives, how lies can cost you lives, how the fear of being wrong costs you lives, how ego costs you lives. There was just so many things in this show that really opens your eyes to just things that could be avoided if you just set aside your pride. But goddamn, Chernobyl is just, it's in a whole, it's just wow. Even if you aren't a history buff or anything like that, I do think it's a very, very good watch for anyone that wants to at least get a little taste of a real life event that is told in a very compelling way that would pull, honestly, I feel like anyone in, any adult in. There are some scenes in there that's kind of like not good for children, but overall, I think it's absolutely a show that I would recommend to anyone. Next up, Gintama. Oh my god, I have been dying to talk about this motherfucking show for so long. Gintama is easily one of the most balanced shows when it comes to genres I have ever fucking seen. Like, I'm talking, you're crying at one moment and you're laughing the next. It's like, oh my god, I have never seen a show that can so easily control your emotions. Like, I don't know what Sorachi Sensei was on when he wrote Gintama, but the fact that he's able to manipulate you so fucking well to the point where you're laughing one moment and then the next, he wants you to be like, all right, bitch, cry. I'm bawling my eyes out. I have never, when I went into watching Gintama, I did not think it was going to hurt me in the way, in the best way possible that it hurt me. Like, I thought it was just going to be one of those gag shows where I can just sit back, watch it, and drink my coffee or drink, or just chill and have a snack and not think about the world. But goddamn, when I watch Gintama, it's just like, it awakened something in me. It felt like I needed to watch more. And I do. Even to this day, I still watch episodes. You want to know what's crazy? Just last week, I watched the Slip arc. And guess what? That's people's least favorite arc. And I fucking watched it like it was fucking nothing. It was so refreshing. I feel like the rewatchability with Gintama 2 is just so fresh. There's only one other show that I'm going to talk about in a second that's even higher with rewatchability. But like, Gintama is just such a satisfying watch. The characters feel like their own beings. And what I mean by that is that they all get a chance to grow. And which is so rare for a comedy and all, like, of all things, because like when you think of comedy, especially long running comedies, I think of things like Family Guy or American Dad or something like that doesn't have a linear storyline that pushes you forward, that makes you actually care what they're up to or what they're going to do the next day, or how they're going to fix something that happened last week or something like that. But the fact that Gintama is a progressive show that just constantly evolves based on the events that happened previously, especially when they get into the serious arcs, it is unmatched. I'm talking like, if you're looking for a laugh, you're gonna get that. If you're looking for action, you will get that. You will get some of the best fighting sequences that you have ever seen with so much emotional weight to it, where you're asking yourself, how the fuck did I get here? You will wonder why something as insane as Gintama has this level of pull on you that makes you forget that you're watching a gag anime, that you're watching a show that just a couple episodes ago you had characters breaking their arms just so that they won't have to carry a casket. Like, it's just so much fun. The parody aspect of Gintama, the actual jokes themselves, the actual references to other shows, iconic ass shows, some that I haven't even watched any. Like, I feel bad that I haven't watched some of them, but like, even so, you're able to understand it. And I think the more shows that you watch, the more satisfying watching Gintama will be, because you know exactly what more pop culture references are from. And it's not only, pop culture references from Japanese media. Shit, they even reference people like Beyonce, like Obama, like Michael Jackson. Like, you have people that, like, you never think you would hear their name or even see a reference of them in Japanese media of any level. But your heart skips a beat when you realize, oh shit, I know those people, those are my people, But oh my god, Gintama, it really is just one of those things that you have to personally experience for you to fully understand how good a show like this can be. You know, like, I don't think there is one piece of this show where I'm just like, that was dumb. And I know comedy is just subjective and stuff like that, and people might not like Gintama just because of how silly it can be and the fact that it's not serious all the time. But I think one of the strengths of Gintama is the fact that it's able to balance and jump from a drama to a comedy to an action series. It's just, there are so many moments in this goddamn anime where they take you every which way and it feels natural because Gintama is just so adaptable as a series. And I have zero idea how Sorachi Sensei knew that something like this would stick. Even though there are gags in the anime itself making jabs about being canceled and stuff and possibly risking the fact of being canceled because of jokes that they've made, it's just like, it makes me so relieved to know that it was able to stand the test of time. You know, it was able to continue until Sorachi at the end of the day said, this is enough. We're done. This is how I want Gintama to end. And the ending, oh my god. The way I bawled my eyes out. The reactions is up for free. You can watch that whenever you want on YouTube. But god damn, that movie, it made me... I watched that movie, I'm not gonna lie, I've watched it about 3 or 4 times. 4 times. Because I watched it with a friend recently because he just finished the series. I watched half this fucking show with him when he decided to come over to watch it with me. So like, it's just such... It's such a satisfying show. It is. Like, if you're just looking for a good time, watch it. If you're looking for just some crazy ass hijinks that gives you that itch in your brain that makes you wonder how so many characters can have such an impact on you, and how many characters that you're gonna actually say, oh my god, I love him, he's my favorite, or she's my favorite. Watch Gintama. You will be like, wow, I wonder how this person is going to get out of this situation. Or wow, I wonder how this person is going to feel. Because like with Gintama, everything truly feels like one world, one town, you know? And Gintama does a very good job in making sure that the world feels full. You know, it doesn't feel like it's just an empty place and you're following just your core people and then that's it, because you're jumping on with so many characters and you're actually having conversations with them. You're having whole arcs dedicated to side characters' backstories and their progression and exactly what makes them them. And there's even a part where like you're following a fucking weather girl and it turns out she has a deep ass story too. And it's just like, whoa, you never thought that you would get this level of depth with these type of people, especially them not being your main characters, but here you are caring about them, rooting for them, and thinking about them potentially more than you would probably any other person from the main cast, just because you know how they're tied into the series now and how they're tied into the world that's just growing and growing all the way up into the literal very end of the series. And something like that just can't be taken for granted either. And I think that's why I find myself running to Gintama whenever I want to watch something or I don't know what to watch. You know, it's just like every single time it grips me. And I don't just watch this show to, you know, laugh or something like that. I watch this show to cry too. I watch it just because of the fact that I know depending on my mood, I can watch any specific arc. There's an arc for any mood that you want to feel. And I think that is the best way to execute a show like Gintama in general. And that's what makes it such a jack of all trades type of show. And that's such a hard thing to pull off unless you are very, very careful with how you write your characters. And wow, did Sorachi Sensei write these characters with the utmost care. But okay, sorry. Oh my god. Next show, and it's the end. Dark is literally, You want to know what I ranked? Oh, did I tell y'all what I ranked Gintama? Gintama's a 9.9. Dark is a 10, bitch. It is 10. When I tell you this is my favorite show of all time, I am not exaggerating. People say, oh, things can be perfect. Bitch, yes, they can. To me, this is perfection. This is the closest thing to perfection that you can get to television. I loved this show from beginning to end. I love the fact that they can play so masterfully with a show this complicated. And when I tell you this, the rewatchability with Dark is easily one of the most satisfying things imaginable. I mean that shit. I'm talking about you are going to find things that you probably missed out on during your first watch through. I think it's genuinely impossible to catch everything in Dark in one watch through. I've rewatched this twice, and I haven't even finished that show not too long ago. I watched it with a friend just because I wanted to, just because I wanted an excuse to rewatch it and to see all the things that I missed out on, or all the things that are now just so obvious to me that just seemed so out of the realm of possibility during my first watch through. You know, you're able to answer questions more easily now that you fully understand so many aspects of the show and how things are tied into this massive knot that is what Vinden has become. And the crazy part about this show is just like, it makes sense. Like, that's the craziest part about Dark for me, is that, like, no matter how you look at it, no matter how outlandish and crazy some of these reveals are in Dark, they line up perfectly in order to make sense, to create a perfect fucking loop. It's just out of this world how carefully they thought about this show in order to make it seem and feel like it could go on forever. And it potentially could have if Claudia wasn't such a goddamn genius. I love Claudia so much. Like, there are so many characters in this show that I'm just like, damn, they really did that shit, huh? And not even just there are so many aspects to this show that I can just praise. And I'm about to do that right now. First off, the casting. I have never seen such careful casting in a goddamn show in my life. I'm talking about a lot of these characters have 3 different versions of themselves that they have to match up to with perfectly in order for you not to get confused. And the fact that these aren't all the same people and not all of them are related to one another is absolutely insane to me. I'm talking like any facial blemishes that they have. If one character has a mole, every version of that character has that same mole in the exact same spot. And it's just like, even their facial features feel the same. It feels like they're truly related in real life. Or they truly did wait 33 years in order to record the next sequence, just because of the fact that that's how the rules of time travel works for the use of that said device. It's just like, there's so many things in Dark that they do perfectly. And I don't think there is anything that they could have done that would have made the show even better than I think it already is. And when it comes to, oh my God, but before I get too deep into the story again, the production of this show, of a television show, is ridiculous. I'm talking, there are so many cinematic shots in this show. It is so easy to forget that this is just a Netflix original. It's so easy to forget that this is just another show. And it doesn't feel like another show either. And the fact that they released this in seasons, they had to have written this all in one and then pitched it to Netflix once it was complete, because there's no way that you could just watch this with just one season. No way. There's no way that you would be able to actually write something with the intention of tying it all the way to, season 3, making that your beginning. Like, there's no part in Dark where you could go without having a previous season. Even though the events are jumbled and everything is basically a perfect loop. The amount of information that you're constantly getting to help fill in the gaps and to help the audience understand exactly how these family trees are formed and how this story is progressing all the way up to finally breaking the cycle. It's just so ridiculously good. And time travel is already a very difficult thing to execute nicely. If you don't do it correctly, it can seem like you're just rug pulling. You know, it's just like you're grasping at straws trying to figure out your way out of this. But the fact that they do it in such a way that truly feels constrained, and by that I mean like it's not just all over the place. It has to have rules, you know? It can't just be inconsequential. Everything felt like it had a purpose, because it did all have a purpose. But like, I love the fact that you have your main character who is constantly trying to not become the person that he knows he's going to become, but does not know how he gets to that moment until he becomes that person, or he experiences that experience that his older self has already experienced. It just blows my mind. And man, there were so many times when I was watching it for my first time where I just simply forget that, like, you know, like there were some things where Jonas was trying to do in order to break the cycle himself as a teenager, and then I had to remember that his adult self already did this. Like, his adult self has already tried all the things that he has done, and he has failed on not becoming the person that he has tried his damnedest to not be. And no matter what, he turns into Adam. But the thing is, the thing that both he is failing to realize and also Ava is failing to realize is that there's more to this world than just their own. And I love the fact that, like, that reveal is just so masterfully done, even though it's done at the very end. I think that's what made me just like, you know, just like it took my breath away, just because in most cases, you probably won't now think, you know, in retrospect, it feels so obvious, right? Because you finally get the full picture and you finally see exactly how exactly these worlds were created. It only makes sense that there is another thing out there that helped create everything that we have seen so far from Dark in both worlds. And then come to the end, you just get this big sigh of relief, but at the same time, it hurts your soul because you know that a lot of the characters that you have followed since the very beginning of the show, they no longer exist. And it's just so poetic and so beautiful. It doesn't feel unnecessary because you know what it means to people. You know exactly how this impacts the origin world. And it's just like, when I got to the end, I'm not going to go into specifics, but, you know, sorry if I am spoiling things a little bit. But when I got to the end, it gave me so many different emotions that I just couldn't. Honestly, let me show you something really quick. So I finished this show on September 26th, and you want to know what my top song was on my YouTube Music Rewind thing? Eran V, Eran Vo, Eran Van. Look at this. First listen date, September 28th. You want to see when I finished the fucking series? September 26th. The moment I finished, and look at this, it's just so fucking funny. I love this. This was just by coincidence that my music character was the time traveler, bitch. I love that. Oh, my listening traversed the decades, melodically exploring eras all year long. The time traveler, how fitting that is what it is when my number one show is Dark, right? And this literally translates to somehow, somewhere, sometime. But Dark is just such it's such a phenomenal show. Like, I don't think there's any aspect to this show, especially when you are dealing with something as sensitive and finicky as time travel, there's not a flaw for me that takes me out of anything that I'm watching. There was not a single minute where I felt like this wasn't good enough or they dropped the ball here. Everything felt like it had its place, especially when you take a step back and see the broader scope of everything. Even characters that you think you're never going to see again, just because of the fact that you don't think that they're important or something like that. Then the next season, you see exactly who they birthed into the world and what role they played later down the line. It's just so well thought out. And the execution for a lot of these things that you do see in Dark is just something that should be studied. If you like, there's not enough time in the world for me to for me to talk about all the things that I love about this show. All I can do is just tell you to watch this show. Yes, it's in German, but if you watch anime anyways, you're used to subtitles. Come on, it's just a different language. But it's just so amazing. The acting, the writing, the production, the overall story elements. It's just, there's nothing in this series that makes me wish that they changed something to make it different. Everything had its place. This is my 10. I do not care if you believe that there's nothing in this world that's perfect. Perfect for me is this. In my world, there is such a thing as a perfect television show. There just is. But man, oh my God, this is a long video. I've talked for out. Oh my God, the raw footage, y'all. I stutter a lot, so if you see a lot of cuts, that's why. It's a speech impediment that I've had since I guess birth, since I was a kid. But I've talked for over 2 hours and 40 minutes. Hopefully I can cut this down so that I'm not rambling too much and you don't hear too much of me stuttering. I try my best to cut all that stuff out. But yeah, that's the list, man, of all the shows that I have watched all the way up till now. I'm sure this is going to cause a lot of ruckus. The issue is with these type of lists is that, like, you can't please everyone, you know? There's always because, like, for a lot of people, you go into this wanting to find a specific show that a person and has enjoyed just as much as you did. And that could be your favorite show of all time. And you have that right, you know? And the thing is, all these shows are on here because I finished them or I'm actively watching them. You know, some of these, obviously, they're not done yet, so I can't, be fully done with them. But the thing is, everything, even Ninja Kamui, there were elements to the show that I absolutely adored. Yes, it did have its reasonable flaws, and we've talked about that, but everything on this list is on here for a reason. That's because I enjoyed it enough to finish it. Some I enjoyed more than others, but like everything has its own reason that is on this list. Like I can genuinely say that I absolutely enjoyed everything on this list for its own reason. Every show on this tier list is unique in its own way that deserves to be watched for its own reasons. It's up to you guys to figure out exactly if that reason is enough for you to also agree with me on my tier list or to disagree with me on my tier list. This whole thing is just full on opinions. Nothing is fact. The things I enjoy are definitely going to be things that you just don't enjoy. And I respect that. And I'm still nervous to see exactly how people are going to tear my ass up in the comments. I do think, there are shows that I'm worried about, like One Piece. I know people are going to probably be mad at, One Piece being in the placements that they are, especially given how old it is, how long it's been around. People are probably going to be mad about Demon Slayer or Chainsaw Man or Solo Leveling or Jujutsu Kaisen, stuff like that. But the thing is, it's not as if I didn't like the show. Like, god damn, Jujutsu Kaisen, I could watch season 2 all day long. Literally, I wouldn't mind watching it again right now. But like there's just aspects to certain shows that were just missing where other shows were able to provide for me personally. And that's just That's just how it is. This entire list, it's made out of love. It's not to put down one show or another. It's just, these are the shows that I watched. I finished them all, or I'm caught up with them all, or I'm actively watching them. And this is where they are at the moment. The crazy part is, these can change, especially for the shows that are still airing and stuff like that. It can easily change. I could put One Piece in S tier next year. Who knows? But right now, this is where things are, just because of where I am currently at with the series. But okay, I'm tired. I am out of coffee, and goddamn, I don't think I've ever talked this long to a camera before, and it feels so weird. So I'm going to end the video here. Of course, if you guys want to watch any of the reactions that's on this tier list, definitely check out the Patreon. I would love your support. There are a lot of, and as you can tell, there are a lot of things that never got uploaded to YouTube just because of the fact that that's a lot to edit. But that's what the Patreon is for. You know, if you want to get that extra content, then there's your incentive. This is all the stuff. But yeah, we'll see how these tier list changes, especially as I watch more things and, you know, I'm introduced to more stories in general, and we'll see how my feelings change over time. But either way, guys, thank you so much for watching this long ass video. I don't know how I'm gonna edit this shit. Oh my god, it makes me nervous. But either way, you guys have a great day/night. And just to show you, it's Christmas. Merry Christmas, everybody. So you guys have a great day with your families. I'm going to get some sleep before I have to go myself. And thanks for your support. I will see you in the new year.